Good morning, everyone. May the Lord richly bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in to our live broadcast. We certainly appreciate that. If you have any questions or prayer requests or testimonies that you'd like to make known, please feel free to let us know. You see there our website, my email address, demjazz@gmail.com, and my phone number. You can call me at 612-293-6846, and I'll be glad to take that call as the Lord opens the door. And want to continue on part 3 of marriage, divorce, and remarriage. And this time we're going to speak about, kind of bring it to a close. And so another case, as we were just kind of finishing from last time, that came up multiple times, especially on the mission field, was annulment. Is annulment different from divorce? Here's what Brother Branham says about it. The question was asked the other day, was an annulment the same as a divorce? See, when you ask me those questions, friend, you don't know what that does to me. I've got many friends sitting here that's married 2 or 3 times. Did you realize I'm talking to my own son, Billy Paul? Would I spare Billy Paul? No, indeedy. Billy Paul got married to some little girl and come up and said, Daddy, I'm going to get married. I was washing my car. I said, but your head against the wall. Just kept on washing my car like that. He said, I'm going to get married. I said, oh, go on. Just kept on like that. And he goes around and tells his mother. His mother laughed at him. You know what he done? Ran off with some little kid still in common school and got married. We annulled the wedding, the father of this girl and myself. We annulled the wedding, but he was married just the same. He's my boy sitting here listening at me now. That's exactly. He come to me with the girl that he lives with now, my daughter-in-law, my little grandson. He said, Daddy, will you marry me? I said, by no means. That's my own son. You think that don't cut me to the core when I packed him in my arms and done everything I could do? And I've been both father and mother to him. You think that don't kill me to say that? But it's the truth, certainly. My boy sitting here listening, my daughter-in-law, and the little grandson sitting here now. But I tell him it's wrong because I've got to. I'm duty bound to that word. And I say, you got married by a magistrate. You should have been married by the church, by the minister. That's the decent thing to do for a Christian. But being that you've already made that promise and vow, and being married 21 years ago, I think it's all right. So then in questions and answers later, he says, and I'd be a hypocrite if I stood here because my own son's sitting here that I promised what was promised to a girl. If he never had the ceremony set over him, no matter if he ever lived with the woman or slept with her, the girl or whatever it was, when he made that vow, he's married. Billy Paul or no Billy Paul. That's exactly the truth. He's married when he made that promise. If it's me, it's the same. So what is Brother Branham saying there? If you're got married, you made that promise before God, and you annulled that marriage, it's the same as being divorced, no difference. This is Brother Branham's revelation of marriage and divorce, what he brings out. He says, now we're found in this mess because of misinterpreted theology. Is that right? That's why you women married the second time, and you men because misinterpreted theology. Now I want to show you something that he told me. And if God our Creator was questioned the question when he was here on earth, Jesus Christ, and when his delivering prophet came forth, Moses down in Egypt to bring the children out of Egypt, put them in the promised land. And Jesus said here that Moses seen the people in this condition, and he granted them a writing of divorcement because the situation was what it was. Moses found such, let him suffer. God permitted Moses, that prophet, sent to the people to granting this writing of divorcement to them. And in 1 Corinthians 7th chapter, 12th and 15th verse in the New Testament, prophet Paul, who met the same thing in the church and spoke this is I, not the Lord, that right because of the divorce condition. It wasn't so from the beginning, but Moses was permitted it, and God recognized it righteousness, and Paul also had a right when he found his church in that condition. Now you believe this to be true and believe it to come from God, and by the vindication of his cloud and his message that's brought me this far, should not God upon the mountain permit me to do the same thing, to suffer you to go on the way you are and do it no more? Go with your wives and live in peace, for the hour is late. The coming of the Lord is at hand. We haven't got time to break these things up. Don't you dare try to do it again. I'm speaking only to my congregation, but if you're married, and God bore me witness of that on the mountain, that I could say this, a supernatural revelation because of the opening of the 7 seals. And this is a question in God's words. Let them go on in as they are and sin no more. It wasn't so from the beginning, that is right, and it wasn't so and it will not be in the end. Brother Branham, in bringing his revelation, refers to Paul, to Moses, and also to Paul receiving a certain revelation regarding the conditions of the time. So let's look at those. Deuteronomy 24, 1 and 2. When a man has taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it her in hand, and send her out of his house. And when she's departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. Here Moses allows for divorce and remarriage under the circumstances of uncleanness. But under the New Testament, Jesus did not allow for remarriage for both the man and the woman. He emphasizes throughout the sermon, Marriage and Divorce, that the man, as the type of Christ, can divorce and remarry if his wife has committed adultery against him, but the wife cannot do so. Romans 7:2 says that the woman is bound to her husband as long as he lives. He does not say it about the man, but only the woman. The man can remarry, but the woman cannot. 1 Corinthians 7:12 through 15. But the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which has an husband that believes not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God has called us to peace. Here Paul is stating they're not under bondage to the marriage covenant if the unbelieving spouse leaves you because of your faith. So Brother Branham was stating that he was granting permission from God for the husband and wives to continue on in their married life and not to do the same sin all over again. They were divorced and remarried because of false doctrine. Now they must remain as they are and never commit that sin again. So just in closing this out, in summary, what we've been talking about, a husband can divorce and remarry if his wife has committed adultery. A wife can only remarry if her husband is dead. An annulment is the same as divorce. If you're divorced and remarried outside of the perfect will of God, continue as you are and never commit that sin again. We want to talk a little bit more about this in future episodes, especially in regards to church order and the qualification of ministers, because this is a very important topic regarding the qualification of ministers. If you have a misunderstanding regarding this point, it leads to all kinds of sin and error, and it's critical that we not be in a position where we're allowing these kinds of sinful things to be going on in our lives and in our churches, because God is coming, Christ is coming for a bride that's without spot or wrinkle. And if we're going on in false grace, which is really a disgrace, we're not being reflective of the truth of Scripture, and we have to be careful to be that. So with that said, if you have questions, comments, or feedback, or prayer requests, please let us know through our website, email, or phone number that we have listed below. Once again, may God bless you.